Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and today we're working on the Breezy dress. It is super cute. I love it. It's got the options of having a long sleeve, short sleeve, bands, and then it's also got this little band that goes on the side that makes a little colt shoulder, breezy shoulder kind of. It is super cute and I love it. So we're going to do the tank version today with the little breezy colt shoulder strap. And so if you are doing a sleeve option, I'll show you a little bit of how you would do it. But you can also check out some of our other patterns that have sleeves and they're put on the same way as some of the other sleeves. So let's go ahead and get started. I've already set up my pattern. It's already been cut out. Oh, I don't want to forget. Let me remind you about our Fun Fan giveaway of $50 Ellie and Maggie certificate. And all you have to do is subscribe to our channel and comment below, and you're entered for a giveaway that we do monthly. $50 Ellie and Maggie certificate. So if you're not subscribed, go subscribe right now. All right, now let's get started. I've already cut out my pattern and I've got this cute fabric. It is so cute. I'm dying. So we're gonna grab our bodice. This is my back, and I'm putting my back face up on my board and my front right on top of it. And we're matching at those shoulder seams. So we're matching right sides together at the shoulder seams to create that shoulder cap area where we're going to attach our sleeve to, if you have a sleeve. So I'm gonna go ahead and I am using, so this is cotton lycra that I'm using for my fabric, and I'm going to be using my serger, but you could use any kind of zigzag, lightning bolt, any kind of stretch stitch on to sew this on together. So either one would work. So let me go ahead and sew that up. My shoulders have been sewn up, and since I'm going to sew up either a sleeve or a band to them, I'm going to just clip this serger tails just because I don't like to have them in my way when I'm sewing. Okay, so if you're doing sleeves, what you're going to do is you're going to open up your bodice face up, and here where your arm side is, you're going to match the half of the sleeve right sides together, and then you're going to go to one side and the other side and sew your sleeves on. I am not doing sleeves, I'm doing the tank version. So I am going to move on now to sewing my sides. If you're doing your sleeves, you put in your sleeves on, and then after you put your sleeves, you would sew up sleeve side and tank side, bodice side, if you are doing your sleeves. So now we're putting right sides together on those sides, and we're gonna sew those sides together. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and prep my bands already, because that is the next step we're going to do. So I have my neck band and my 2 arm bands, and I'm putting them on my board. And the first thing I want to do, I actually like to go ahead and give them a memory crease first before I sew them on the round. So I want to go ahead and steam them down, give them a memory crease. Once I give them a memory crease, I'm going to go over to my sewing machine or my serger. My iron was turned off, so it's got to turn back on, heat up. I'm going to put them right sides together at the raw edge, all 3 of them, and create a band. And then for my breezy panels, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over, and either if you want to, you can go ahead and serge that edge first and then fold it down and hem it. Or since I'm gonna use a cover stitch, I can just go right down and hem that. Okay, so it's really up to you. You wanna go ahead and serge, and then you're going to top stitch. Okay, so we can go ahead and do that. All right, let's go over there and serge. Once all my straps are done, I like to go ahead and cut the serger tails. Like I told you, I just don't like them hanging there. If you did zigzag stitch or any kind of stretch stitch, That will be good as well. And I decided to go ahead and finish my raw edges of my sleeve instead of cover stitch. Just went ahead and did it that way. If you don't have a serger, you can zigzag stitch, or however, because this is a knit fabric, it won't fray, so it's not gonna be too bad. So now what we're going to do is we're gonna go ahead and grab all our bands, and remember where we did that fold already, we're gonna go right over that fold again, just like so. And I'm gonna pin right here at that seam allowance. I'm at the seam where we created that, and then I'm gonna go from that to the front, and I'm gonna mark it, and that's gonna be my half. So we're quartering our bands. Okay, and then I'm gonna match my back and my front, and I'm gonna go to the sides, one side, the other side. And I like to notch it, where I just clip a tiny bit of the fabric off, not enough that it's gonna matter later on, but enough that I can see it if my pin falls off. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that for all my other bands as well. Once the bands have been quartered, we can go ahead and grab our bodice. And you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to sew the sides to my bodice. I was gonna sew the side to my bodice at the same time that I went and sewed my bands, and then I totally forgot. So let me go ahead and sew the sides to our bodice so we can go ahead and attach our bands on. So I'm gonna sew on both sides, and then we're gonna move on to attach the bands and then the side arms. All right, so now my sides have finally been sewn. I know I didn't do that earlier. Isn't that gonna be so cute? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and quarter my front, my bodice. I'm gonna go shoulder seams into the front and clip, shoulder seams to the back and clip, and then I'm gonna go front and back, put them right on top of each other and clip on the sides. Now, because your shoulder seams are not your halves, so you gotta make sure that you mark those seams in your quarters. It is, on this one, is about almost 3/4 of an inch away from the seam. So if you don't mark that, then your band is not gonna be even. So we wanna make sure we do that. Then we're gonna do the same thing for our arms. We're gonna match the top and the bottom, the seams, and then I'm gonna go to one side and then the other. And then I'll do the same for the last one, for the other arm. And now that our bands have already been prepped, we're gonna go ahead and clip them on, and then we're gonna attach them. The way that we're gonna do that is, first you need to figure out which one is your neckband. Obviously my neckband is the longer one, and we're gonna start with that one. We're gonna put our neckband right sides together at the quarter point that you found, and then you're gonna match all those quarter points that you found. Match the quarter point of the neckband to the quarter point of the bodice, the quarter point that you created on your bodice. And then I'm gonna show you. See? We're gonna do the same thing for the sleeve, for the armbands. Now, quite honestly, I like to do everything at the same time. So I pin all my bands and everything at the same time. But if you don't like to do that, if you want to do one at a time, then you can go ahead and do that, and that will be just great. But I just like to get it all done. So that's why mine are all pinned at the same time. So let's go ahead and sew it. I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. Well, I am here at the serger, but this can be done either on your sewing machine with a stretch stitch, or at the serger if you are using a serger. I'm going to start at where the back seam is, because I like to have all my serger tails be pretty much at the same place. I just kind of serged a tiny bit just so that my needle got caught on my fabric, so then when I go to pull my fabric, it doesn't come undone. I'm going to go where that first quarter point is. I'm gonna pull so that my bodice and band match at the raw edge, and then I'm gonna stop. And I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna stop when I got to that quarter point. I'm going to the next quarter point, making sure my fabric is matching. at the raw edges, and then I'm gonna sew, and I'm gonna continue to do the same thing for the whole band, and then the same thing for the armbands as well. All right, so my bodice is right side out, and I'm going to grab my sleeve, and the pointy part is going towards the bottom because that's the widest part. And we're going to put it right on top of where my marked dot is, right underneath it, right below it. And we're gonna match up those raw edges, that raw edge with the seam allowance where you sewed your sleeve or your strap, your armband. And then on the back, right next to it again, right below it, and we're gonna match it right sides together. The wrong side of the sleeve of the band touching the right side of that strap. You see that? See how the longer point is coming down at the bottom? And then we're gonna do the same for the other one. Again, that longer point is facing towards the bottom. Here's my shoulder seam, here's my mark. I'm gonna put it right below it. Pin it on the seam allowance. That's where we're gonna attach it to, or seam allowance. And then flip it, bring it right over underneath that pin again where I marked my circle, shoulder seam, and again on that seam allowance. Then I'm gonna go over to my sewing machine and top stitch that on. Or if you want to use, you can either use a zigzag stitch, you can use your serger, you can use, even put like if you want to do it doesn't look too much stuff going on, you can put a little piece of fabric right there and sew it right on top so it kind of hides any more seams if you'd like. Any way you want to do it, you can go ahead and just sew that on right there on each side and on each side on the other side. All right, what I'm doing is I am removing those pins, obviously. I make sure that it's right where it's supposed to be. And I'm matching up that little shoulder strap to my seam allowance. And then when I am sewing this on, I am not even catching anything on there. I'm just sewing it onto my seam allowance. So it's right on that seam allowance that I already had. It's sewn on. And then what I'm gonna do with these, I will go over to my sewing machine when I'm done with all of my sewing, and I'm going to fold that right on top of my seam allowance and zigzag it on so that it's stuck to it and you can't even see it, and trim it. And I'll show you that at the end. So our bodice is done, and we're literally done. All we have is our skirt. Look at how cute this is. That is adorable. I love these little things. They're so cute. I can't wait to try it on my niece. She's gonna look adorable. And I can't wait to see it on yours as well. All right, now we're gonna do our skirt. So let me put this little tiny bodice aside that I love so much. And we're gonna grab our skirts. We have the front and the back, and we're gonna put it right on top of each other, right sides together, matching those raw edges on the sides, matching those sides. We're going to pin those sides together, and then we're gonna go over and sew them up. Let's sew. Our side seams are sewn. And we're going to go ahead and find our halves. Again, we're gonna meet those side seams, and we're gonna go to each side, front and the back. And then we're gonna do the same thing to our bodice. We're gonna meet those side seams, and we're gonna go to the front and the back and mark it, mark it, mark it. Then we can fit our skirt over our bodice and match right sides together. So the right side of our skirt is matching the right side of our bodice, and we're matching those quarter points. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And we are like literally almost done. I can taste it. We're gonna go ahead and sew them together by stretching lightly if you have to, but you shouldn't really have to because they match up right sides together. Let's go sew all the way around that. Now, before I move on to sewing, to show you the rest of it and the end of it, I'm gonna show you how I tuck in those tails, those serger tails. I'm gonna put them, like I said, right over my seam allowance and use a zigzag stitch on my sewing machine and run right over that seam allowance with a zigzag stitch. And then I just clip the rest of it, and my thread, my serger tail, is in my seam allowance. And I'm going to do the same thing for all these little serger tails that are right here around my bodice. I'm going to turn it inside out and go ahead and tuck all those tails in. All right, now we have top stitched, we have put away our little strings. Oh my word, how cute is this thing? I am in love. It is super, super cute. Now all we have left to do is just to hem, and we're going to do a 1/2 inch allowance for our hem. And what I like to do when I'm doing a hem of a skirt that's going kind of rounded, I just like to steam, and as I'm steaming, I'm pulling at the fabric, kind of making it take its shape. Not super hard, just lightly pulling, and it makes it go around. You know, sometimes we're kind of worried about, you know, when we're going kind of like a round hem. Not that hard, just make sure that you're kind of helping your fabric along and kind of pulling it. Now if you didn't want to hem it, it is a knit fabric, so it would be up to you. It doesn't fray. So if you just wanted to leave it raw, you can leave it raw. If you don't have a double needle or cover stitch, and you want to do like a rolled hem, you can do that. Or you could do really it's a loose bottom, so a straight stitch on your sewing machine would be okay, because it's not something that you're gonna have to stretch over and over again. So really either one of those I think would be just fine. So I'm gonna go over to my cover stitch and finish hemming, and we'll be all done. We are finished. Our hem is done. Our whole little dress is finished, and I am loving it. I can't wait to see it on. Please comment, like, share, subscribe to our channel. Please let me know if you have any questions of anything that I did on this sewing tutorial. Please come share your makes with us on our Facebook or Instagram page. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.